going to begin introducing him. Manju Venkat is a consulting biologist for Southern California Edison with more than 20 years experience as an environmental consultant. He obtained his bachelor's degree in biology from India and a master's in environmental sciences in Texas. He's been an active volunteer utilizing the specialty of his field. Mr. Venkat became a citizen of the U.S. 14 years ago and moved from Calabasas to Oak Park 7 years ago. Mr. Venkat is the father of a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. Jeremy Barnett is the Senior Vice President of Marketing for NAS Insurance, a commercial insurance underwriter, and is responsible for brand marketing and online business. Mr. Barnett earned his BA in English at Rutgers University and his master's in educational technology at San Diego State University. He moved to Old Agoura in 2006 and Oak Park last year. He has 3 school-age children. Mr. Barnett has served on his children's school boards, the board at his temple, and is also a volunteer sports coach in several leagues. Robert von Schneidow moved to Oak Park in 1966 and graduated from Agoura High, as this was prior to the existence of Oak Park High School. He attended Pierce College. He is the owner of USA Window Cleaning and Maintenance and is a property management owner. He and his wife Jennifer, who is a new appointee on the Oak Park School Board, have 2 daughters aged 15 and 18. Mr. von Schneidow has been a volunteer soccer coach for his girls over the years. His most passionate volunteer work is the organization Curing Kids Cancer. And Michael McReynolds is an incumbent and has been a member of the Municipal Advisory Council in Oak Park for 4 years. He is currently chair of the council. He is also an elected director of the Triunfo Sanitation District. He is an engineering manager at Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. He has his BS degree in basic engineering and an MA, master's in practical theology. He and his wife have 3 teenagers. Mr. McReynolds has lived in Oak Park for 5 years. And there were 2 more candidates for the MAC, Kara Royal and David Royal. They both declined tonight's invitation. Gentlemen, please have a seat. And we are really going to keep you on your toes. I'm going to ask these questions. We drew up a random list ahead of time, and we are going to begin. Mr. Barnett.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the Community Foundation for putting this together this evening. It's an honor to be here and a wonderful opportunity that I was really looking forward to help introduce myself and become part of this wonderful community. As I was on my way over here, my mom called, and she wanted to wish me luck and hope that everything goes well, and of course she has to give me a little something to bring that I have to share, which is to make sure you put all your BS out there. And in her case, that means be specific, be short, and be seated. So we're going to move forward with that. My name is Jeremy Barnett, and I'm eager to be on the council because this is such a wonderful community that I want to put myself in a position to help preserve and promote what it is that we have to offer here. There are a variety of programs that I look forward to being able to implement with the MAC because we are so fortunate here in Oak Park that a big part of what we need to do is reach out to other communities of need in Ventura County. We need to find ways to enrich our lives here through informal education programs, as well as build greater support between our neighbors and our neighborhoods, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Venkat.
Good evening. Thank you very much for being here. I'm honored to be here myself, and particularly very impressed by the student youth body being here. Thank you for being here. I'm a great proponent of education in the schools. I came from India, survived the onslaught of students competing for master's degree and scholarship in this country. I view education very highly. I'm also an environmental biologist. I work with many different aspects of the environmental issues, constantly pitted between resource management and so-called development. So I'm used to that kind of public scrutiny and having to make decisions. So this position really, the experience that I've had suits me to provide the community service I intend to do. Thank you.
Who remembers 1966? I do. That's when I moved to Oak Park. That's almost 50 years ago. That's who I am. In all those years, the physical look has changed. but the family values are the same. That's what I know. Without our community, I don't know how we would have ever got through the difficulty time that our family has gone through. This is why Oak Park means so much to me. I want to make sure Oak Park stays just the way it is. Same values when my kids come back to raise their families. This is what I want to do. This is what I intend to ensure if I'm elected to the MAC. I'm asking for your vote to do it, and thank you.
Thank you. And our next candidate is Mr. McReynolds.
I want to thank all of you for coming out here tonight, and I want to thank the Oak Park Community Foundation for hosting this event. I'm seeking re-election to the Oak Park Municipal Advisory Council because I really love this community. My wife and I chose to move here 5 years ago because it was a really safe environment, it had a great school district, it had lots of open spaces and lots of friendly people. And since being on the MAC, the last 4 years, I've been trying to keep the community and do as best I can for the community. Some of the areas that I've worked on for the community are cell towers. I have tried to fight the size and number of those type of facilities going up, and I've tried to minimize their impact to construction in our streets. I've also worked on quite a few traffic issues because I think safety is an important issue. I voted for the stop signs at Doubletree and Holly Tree, and the one thing that I miss in terms of the of here is I've come here tonight to ask for your permission and for your opportunity to serve again. Thank you.
Number one, what made you decide to run for the MAC in Oak Park, and what would be the first thing on your agenda if you were re-elected in your case? And number two, with the troubles that local businesses have had in the past in Oak Park, Cisco's, Ellermy Mine, how would you make Oak Park more desirable for small business owners, and how would you help plan on helping future and present owners maintain their businesses?
Well, I guess my top priority for the community would be the same top priority I had in the last 4 years, which is to really listen to the community and try to make this place a better place to live. As far as what can we do for business, so there's not really a lot that the MAC specifically can do, except for really maintain a really wonderful place to live by maintaining the medians really well, and making sure, like, for example, the O and the A that are missing on the Oak Park sign there, they get fixed, which we're in the process of getting done, to try to make it as friendly an environment as we can for the business as a whole. And we can encourage people to shop local, to work with the local, go to the local businesses, support the local businesses, so they get some of our support. The other thing we can do is we can try to minimize those kinds of signage and stuff like that, which distract from our community.
I think the reason why I want to work with the MAC is that we have so much potential here to leverage the talent and capabilities of the community to not just serve ourselves, but to reach out to those communities around Ventura County that are in greater need. Because to me, there's nothing more uniting than service for a community to serve those in need. We are so fortunate with what we have. I think that building an active group and a community that works on outreach is essential. Relative to what we do in our own community and in servicing our businesses, a lot of it comes down to, frankly, marketing and communications, something I know quite a bit about. And the idea of creating programs for businesses to network with each other, to be integrated into community programming, to provide ease of access and ease of use through better parking and access off of main roadways, and drawing in shoppers and consumers from outside of the area will help us grow our businesses locally.
We're going to have to stop you there, though. Thank you. Our next candidate on this question is Mr. Von Schneider.
First, I want to say that the MAC is doing a really good job. They're seamless. Things that happen around here, it doesn't really disrupt our life much. So I think they're doing a really, really good job. I want to be part of that. I have a little bit of input growing up here. The tax bases, I think there's a lot of empty commercial that we could entice people, businesses, small mom and pops. We have Starbucks, we have Bean Scene. Starbucks is a big, heavy. Bean Scene is a mom and pop. and they didn't think they'd make it, but they're doing great. I just read that there's some interest rates that are going for commercial rates, which would entice the landlords and the MAC to be able to maybe entice some more businesses to our empty commercial spaces.
Thank you. Mr. Venkat, same question to you.
I believe that MAC is an extension of the community, and it goes beyond public works issues. It is a platform to be creative, not only in education, but also in improvement of business. Last year, I mentored Oak Park High School students in a contest called Quick Science, and Dr. Knight, sitting back there, knows about it. And I was impressed of how intelligent and resourceful the students were, but we lacked the resources to give them all they wanted, despite that they won the first place. I want to make sure that if I'm elected, that there are opportunities for students. Education must be a priority, and it doesn't have to be relying on federal government. At a community level, there are so many things that you could do to improve education and to spur the onset of education and competitive science contests. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll begin with our next question, and Mr. Barnett, you're up first on this one. Which leadership skills would you bring to the MAC that would make you most effective in serving Oak Park, and why?
Over the course of the last 20 years as a professional, I have been sought out to help create communities within the various companies in which I work to help bridge the differences where there are differences of opinion on leadership and direction for our companies. From serving on the boards of my children's schools in the past, to serving on executive committees in my companies, to running major engagements in consulting relationships with large companies. I've led teams of many people in many diverse ways to help create new innovative programs. So here in the opportunity as a leader for our community, the goal would be to bring us together. The idea is that more people working together with a common goal is what builds and strengthens a community. In the great words of Eleanor Roosevelt, in a democratic society, we must live cooperatively and serve the community in which we live to the best of our ability. And for our own success to be real, it must contribute to the success of others.
Thank you. We're going to have to cut you off there. Okay, Mr. von Schneido, same question to you. Which leadership skills would you bring to the MAC that would make you most effective in serving Oak Park, and why?
You know, as I look out here, I know a lot of familiar faces, and you talk about leadership skills. Our community is the leadership. If you just talk to your neighbors and you talk to the community, you run into people, you're approachable, you listen, they give you the ideas. They're the pulse of our neighborhood that says, this is what's bothering me, this is what I want to change. And you get those ideas from everyone out there. And that's where you get your influences, from listening to your neighbors to say, okay, let's work on it. Now I know, now we can try to fix that. And I think that's really, really important, staying connected with the community.
You know, as a professional in the environmental arena, you are constantly pitted against various issues that you have to make leadership decisions. Do you put a transmission tower in the middle of a habitat that has endangered species? Do you take that away and put it in a vineyard where people are making a living of vineyards? So these are the kinds of public review decisions that you have to make. And hundreds of people's lives are affected when you make such decisions. You have to have the leadership quality. You have to have the technical knowledge, the cultural, the social knowledge, and an ability to please different aspects, and consensus building is the issue. How do you negotiate? How do you win over people who may not agree with you? And that requires leadership skills, and I believe I have that.
Thank you. And Mr. McReynolds, your thoughts on what leadership skills you bring to the table?
First of all, I have 4 years of experience on the board. Second of all, I'm an engineering manager at Metropolitan Water District. I actually manage 23 people, a compilation of engineers, designers, drafters, and other engineering technicians. The other thing that I do, and as a result of that, I'm responsible for the structural integrity of the design, also getting it done in a timely manner, on budget, on schedule, and in a way that's cooperative with all the other people. Finally, I've been a director of the Triumphal Sanitation District, which just this year built a very large water tank right here in our own community. And I felt that we did it in a way that was extremely non-disruptive. In fact, I think a lot of people probably don't even know we built a water tank because it was so successfully and so well done. And I think that those are the skills I think which I bring to the table. I also have a large knowledge of community leaders and things like that. So those are the things I think which make me qualified for this position.
What would you do to improve communication and feedback from and to the community from the MAC? Right now there's a monthly meeting, but there's no other way to get a summary other than that monthly news. Other than attending the monthly meeting, there is no way to get a summary of what is discussed and decided on by the MAC. What would you do to improve communication with the community?
Well, if they're interested, they can come. If they can't come, it should be televised where they can tune in, like some of the other adjacent communities do. I think communication is huge, so you have to find some kind of response that what would work for you. If you talk to the community, say, well, I can go online, there's websites that we can click on, we can do it through video streaming, but the way our technological lifestyles right now, it's available, your iPhone, what have you. So that's not a big deal. It's really up to the person who really wants to connect, and I think that's important if it's important to them.
I think the most effective way to improve communications is actually through developing better programming. The MAC and the venue, the structure of the meetings is really to address specific issues and to tackle ordinances and issues of public safety and concern, not so much a communications mechanism. So I think the idea of a series of programs that have the community interacting with each other and identifying the MAC representatives and other community leaders who are involved in that is really the best feedback mechanism, is to actually live and engage with one another. As far as an initiative that I'd like to pursue is that actually with all of the work that we're doing with the cell phone carriers is actually leverage their networks to provide free public Wi-Fi so that we can have internet access wherever we are, to have access to websites, email, mobile applications that allow us to stay connected in real time, depending where we are in the location around Oak Park.
Thank you. Mr. Venkat, you're next.
I think the multimedia is so powerful. It reaches people of all ages and types. And so we should try to improve that through website and other means of communication. It wouldn't be a stretch to even think of the possibility of local businesses within Oak Park having some kind of a mechanism to feedback to the customers about what's taken place at a recent meeting. Could be in the form of a newsletter at their establishment that would reach out to the people. Because if you're sitting at a Starbucks drinking a cup of coffee, you know, you have a material in front of you, you're prone to look at it and have more attention towards that. That's one way of improving, and reaching out to the community is the best way.
First of all, we would use the 2 local websites that already monitor and give the news related to Oak Park. The second thing is on important issues, we could talk to the Acorn, have them come and report on the important issues. The third thing is there's actually the Oak Park MAC and the school district are actually sending out flyers once a quarter, discussing what is going on in Oak Park and what's going on in the MAC. Finally, it takes a little bit of personal push too, and that is about 6 months ago, one of the cell carriers was actually considering putting a 50-foot high tower on Canaan Road. And what I actually did is I took the notice of the meeting and I actually went and put it on all the doors of all the people who were nearby. So they'd have an opportunity to come and comment on what they thought about the cell tower in their backyard.
What can we do about recycling here? And also if you could talk about like Starbucks, they have all those cups, they don't recycle. We used to have other things here in the community to help with recycling. Some of the cities on the East Coast do much more as far as recycling, and if you could talk about litter as well. And up first is Mr. Venkat.
Well, yes, that's a very good question. In fact, the best concept of recycling, what is it? It's one of those ice cream cones that you get, the wafer that you can eat. Think about it. You can eat the ice cream, you can eat the cone. There is no wastage. That is the concept that has to be passed on to the community. Total recycling. Now, for a multifamily dwelling, there is still not a very good concept of recycling. There are still aspects of it that can be taken out of the waste stream going into the landfill. Technology will improve that, but we have to do that more in terms of encouraging that recycling. Thank you.
A real simple answer to that question. We do have once a year a cleanup in Oak Park. I think it's in April usually, where you clean up. You can take all of your electronic, that kind of thing, to the Oak Park schools. They pick it up. The second thing I think we should do is really go to the schools and have them actually teach and educate the kids, and have that hopefully pass on to their parents, so that they will take better care to recycle and make sure that they throw their garbage in the trash and gets recycled as best we can. I guess that's about it.
I haven't seen that 15-second once, so I'm okay.
You're doing
Okay,
wonderful.
we only have one Earth. When we ruin it, it's where we're going to go. So recycling is important. I think that everywhere you should have some kind of recycling receptacle where people are semi-lazy, where they can go here or they throw it there. If it's there, they will use it. It's infectious. People they don't want to walk through people's trash. And I think the more facilities that are out there at locations that they will use it. So it's a no-brainer. We got to recycle.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barnett.
Recycling is as much an economic issue as it is an environmental one, and there's great economic incentive for those who collect recyclables to come and get them from Oak Park. So I think the idea for MAC is to work directly with our county supervisor, Supervisor Parks, to bring in vendors who will come and do collections, and on our part to integrate with all of the other community services and youth leagues and schools, so that we create programs so that we can collect and create the opportunity for those companies that do come and collect it.
Thank you. Mr. Von Schneider, we'll begin with you. Here's another lifestyle issue. The sidewalks in Oak Park are broken. Some might violate the Americans with Disabilities Act. What would you do to help fix the broken sidewalks in Oak Park?
Well, if you walk around, you will notice that the sidewalks that are broken are painted, and they have notified the owners that they need to fix them, because believe it or not, you own the sidewalk in front of your house. So they are working on that. Yes, I have some handicapped relatives, and it's something that they need, because we're not handicapped. We don't realize as much until you become in a wheelchair. But yeah, I think it needs to be addressed, and I think we need to find money to make everyone able to use the streets.
We have about an $800,000 budget for the MAC, and almost half of it goes to landscape and support. So there are funds that are available that we can help to direct towards those situations, while at the same time, homeowners associations need to evaluate their own operating budgets and their own maintenance plans so that they can contribute to take care of their local environments. There's those things that are part of being an unincorporated municipality. That means there's more responsibility on the individual. And I think part of the ideals of living here in Oak Park is accepting that we take individual responsibility for some things, including our property, along with our neighbors.
Yeah, actually, the county's already notified 122 residents of Oak Park that they're going to have to repair their sidewalks. In addition to that, the MAC is actually going to be taking out a number of trees and paying for those trees, to remove those trees, and probably they're replanting a lot of those trees with trees that don't break up the sidewalk. So the plan is actually continue to do what we're doing right now, which is allow the county to assess which sidewalks need to be repaired, have them notify the homeowner, have them fix their sidewalk, and for the MAC to go ahead and take out the trees that are causing the problem and replace them.
First of all, the MAC's budget would have to address that in terms of sidewalk repairs. But let's look at it in a different way. As a biologist, I look at the long-term solution to sidewalk problems. Why is the problem caused in the first place? It's because of trees. What kind of trees? Trees that are not suitable for urban planting. There are trees that have taproot system, there are trees that have fibrous root systems. When you put these kinds of trees which are inappropriate for urban area with constricted development all around it, it's prone to happen. So look at the way that we could work on a long-term solution. That is, I would be on a landscape committee, and I would make sure that native trees which are not going to cause a problem would be planted.
Thank you. As you would expect, people have questions about traffic, so let's hear what they're asking. So increased traffic related to our schools continues to be a difficult issue during certain times of the day. What mitigation measures would you recommend to alleviate that problem? And this includes a suggestion about approaching the high school and churches and asking them to promote a 3-mile radius rule, which would mean if folks have kids within that distance, those kids try to ride their bikes rather than being dropped off by vehicles. So if you'll talk about traffic in general, your thoughts about especially with the schools, and if you want the idea about this 3-mile radius. 45 seconds.
Is that it?
There you go.
Yeah, as you know, that traffic is an issue in Oak Park because we have a lot of students that are coming from outside the district here. And actually, I think the school has really done a great job in trying to minimize the traffic impacts by spreading out the start times, by encouraging kids to walk and ride to school as much as possible, and also to encourage parents to bring their kids up Lindero Canyon Road. So what I do think that it would be a great idea maybe to have a once a week where kids are encouraged to ride their bikes or walk to school. If they just do that, if just 25% do that, it'd be a great help for the traffic.
I do agree with Mike, encouraging biking, staggering some of the traffic system, and rerouting traffic would alleviate some of the problems.
Thank you. And Mr. Van Schneider, your position?
What he said. Oh, yeah. But you're right. I've seen the numbers, and we do need the out-of-district students, believe it or not. We need their money. I know it's a tough spot, but there's some in-district people that actually drive their kids to Westlake, to Oaks Christian, to Agora. So they're actually leaving the area, but they still pay their money. Walking to school, I know my daughter has some really, really big books. If we could get those books on a CD, where all they do is work off their computer, they wouldn't have these really heavy books. We don't have the money to have books at the school and home. So a couple ways of doing that, but it will be an ongoing issue, and I'm sure if I'm a board member, we can work it out.
All right, thank you. We're going to go to our next question. We're not going to be doing closing statements with this kid. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Parda.
I got a big idea. Something that's already worked out is staggering schedules. So Medea has done a great job in helping to bring kids in, or allowing kids to come in a little bit earlier to help alleviate the intersection there on Canaan and across from the high school. But I think the bigger opportunities that both supports local business and the traffic is this idea of a Canaan Road shuttle, where on Lindero Canyon on one end and Agora Road on the other, if we can bring people in there to those retail areas and then have shuttles that run up and down Canaan Road and making various drop-offs, I think it not only services the students well, it services seniors well, and it services the business as well.
Thank you, and apologies for cutting you off there. So we're not doing closing statements with these candidates. This will be your last question. I'm going to give you a minute each, and if you want to add anything with your answer. But this is one that several people asked. I mean, what would you consider to be the #1 issue affecting our community? How do you plan to address that? And we will begin with Mr. Venkat.
I think the #1 issue is the lack of funds, local funds. Relying on federal aid and state government aid has been the past, and it's a traditional means of getting our funds. But on a community level, every one of us have to do what we can in creative ways to improve the economy and improve education, particularly. And my fondest aspect of this is the focus we have to do on education. I think that's a very serious problem. As somebody earlier said, we have fallen way behind in the world educational system. So we have to do everything on a grassroots community level to improve that. Thank you.
I think our number one opportunity is to address citizen apathy or disenfranchisement. I think a lot of us live in a situation where we expect the government to fix things, or the organization to fix things, or the bureaucracy is creating too many problems. And I think that the opportunity for us in Oak Park, I feel like we live in this ideal community where so many things are functioning so much better than in other parts of the world, that the number one issue for me, or the opportunity for us as a community, is to get together. More forums like this, more opportunities to get together, to have TEDx educational seminars, to have town hall meetings, to have other social programmings that allow us to get to know our neighbors and neighborhoods a little bit better. I think through that sense of shared experience, we create what I call a community of purpose, and ultimately that allows us to address our issues and grow and live in a vital community.
I have two number one issues, I think. Number one is the cell tower carriers are asking to put towers right next to Canaan Road and all of the other public right-of-ways. And I think the most important thing to that is we need to find a way to balance out putting those carriers, allowing them to provide cell service without putting up large antennas and other, very aesthetically unpleasing things. The second thing I think is really drugs and alcohol in our youth. I think that that's a real big problem that we need to make sure we address. And I think that we need to work with the school district to try to encourage programs to keep kids from drinking and driving and using drugs.
First of all, we do have blue ribbon schools. Everyone wants to live here. Keeps our houses values up. The schools are very demanding. They're just short of college prep type classes. So we're doing a really good job there. Our tax base is down. We need the tax base. We need to get new companies to come here, businesses, mom and pops, whatever it takes, buy within our local area. And I just think getting back to our roots, what Oak Park was all about. What I remember 50 years ago, safe, freedom, enjoy the community. And we've done a really good job with that. I think we just got to find some more money to, unincorporated, we lose about $400,000 a year, so we got to make that up. But that gives us the option to run our little city the way we do.
Thank you very much. How about a round of applause? And I think we deserve these young people. They deserve a round of applause.